Last week, I reread George Orwell's dystopian novel, 1984, which I haven't looked at since high school. And you know what? It's 1984 in America. First, we have Big Brother in the form of Donald Trump. I really don't think it's possible to overstate the hold he has over his most devoted followers. We see it in social media comments, and we feel it in the families that have been torn apart by MAGA. Last week, I saw some really next-level adulation. I was on TikTok watching the BBC live stream of people pouring into St. Peter's Square just after the Pope's death had been announced. There were people commenting, with all caps and many exclamation points, "Trump is God." That's the first parallel. The people who have drunk the Kool-Aid, who truly believe that Donald Trump knows everything and can do no wrong. The second parallel is the distortion of present-day reality. Orwell said, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their most essential command." Have you watched Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, in action? It really is amazing. She just stands there and she confidently presents the administration's truth of the day, which might be different from the truth of yesterday or the truth of tomorrow. But then she's an acolyte of the man who said way back in 2018 in a speech to the VFW, "Don't believe the crap you're seeing from these people, the fake news. What you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening." The third parallel is the destruction and rewriting of history. This is hugely important. I don't think we're talking about it enough. So, for instance, as we speak, the Trump administration has begun purging pieces from the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, colloquially called the Blacksonian. I've been to that museum. As a museum, it is truly the best museum I've ever been to. In its physical organization, most of it is underground. You start underground and you move up through history. So you start with exhibits that teach you about slavery. As you move up through the different floors, you progress through stories of the fight for civil rights. There is an exhibit in that section about Emmett Till. The centerpiece of that exhibit is his original glass-topped casket. His mother insisted on having an open casket funeral so that the world could see the violence that had been done to her son. Standing in line for that exhibit was very emotional. It was people paying their respects. And then in the upper galleries, you have exhibits that are just vibrant with celebration. The museum's mission is to capture the unvarnished truth and present African American history as foundational to understanding America as a whole, which it is. I mean, that really matters. The museum also has an amazing website. You know how TikTok creators will ask you for comments and likes and whatnot? My request to you today is simply this: visit their website today. The homepage is nmahc.si.edu for National Museum of African American History and Culture. But here's something that's easier to remember. Just go to searchablemuseum.com. Then I suggest you go to the stories section. The story of the day today is about Pullman porters and maids, or if you want, you can search the story archive, which is extensive, by topics or time periods. George Orwell said, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past." And as you know, this administration has spent a truly extraordinary amount of time and energy, and I presume also money, in an aggressive effort to destroy the records of our history. You can't tell me that there's any good purpose that's served by doing that. Moving on to the fourth parallel, that's the destruction of science. In the novel, George Orwell said, "The empirical method of thought on which all the scientific achievements of the past were founded is opposed to the most fundamental principles of INGSOC being the ideology of the ruling party in the novel." Same deal here. You know, we're destroying science and scientific records. Fifth parallel. In 1984, everyone had to participate in certain structured hate activities, like the 2-minute daily hate and the periodic hate week. I see this especially in the discussion of immigrants. When Donald Trump talks about immigrants, he says things like migrant criminals, illegal monsters, killers, gang members, poisoning our country, taking your jobs, the largest invasion in the history of our country. He's got his followers believing him. By contrast, here's Ronald Reagan talking about the same subject. Reagan said, "Our nation is a nation of immigrants. More than any other country, our strength comes from our own immigrant heritage and our capacity to welcome those from other lands." The sixth parallel. In the novel, the world has consolidated into three countries: Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastasia. Oceania is always at war with either Eurasia or Eastasia, and it changes, like overnight it changes. We have allies around the world who have fought and bled and died with us in many wars. We have had military, economic, artistic, social, scientific partnerships with our allies. And yet this administration has trash-talked our allies and put the post-war order onto life support. Finally, the seventh parallel. In 1984, we have our hero, Winston, who thinks a lot about the way things were and are and ought to be. His girlfriend, Julia, though, takes the attitude that politics is boring and that even if she doesn't like the way things are, she can't do anything about it. So Julia focuses her efforts on navigating the world as it is and trying to find pleasure where she can. This rings awfully familiar. Before the last election, I did some volunteer phone banking for the Harris Walls campaign. When I got hold of a real person, the most common reaction was for them to just hang up on me the instant they realized it was a political phone call. People were just sick of politics, and especially voters in swing states. I get that. But if the America that the Trump administration is creating is not the America you want, and not the America you want for your children or your grandchildren, and you're not already involved, then it's time to get involved. So the action step that I suggest for you for today is to visit the Smithsonian, go to searchablemuseum.com, and learn something. Keep on keeping on.